All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for coming. As you all know, it's Fall Sports Media Day. We'll be hearing from cross-country team, volleyball, soccer, and football. Triathlon wasn't able to be here, but I did want to mention, in case you guys didn't know, they were selected to host a regional qualifier, which there are 3 of, to qualify for the national race in November. So that's on September 15th at Bellefouche Reservoir. So just so you guys, make sure you guys know about that. If anybody does want to talk to Coach Feist about her season, contact me and can get that set up. So we're going to start off with the cross-country team. We'll have assistant coach Scott Foley come up, say a few words, and then we'll have a couple of the student athletes come up.
As you guys know, I'm not Scott Walkinshaw. Scott Foley, we like to keep it simple in our office, same first name. So he apologizes he couldn't make it today, but hopefully I can do my best to answer all of your guys' questions. Both the men's and women's team, we're pretty excited for the upcoming season, especially coming back after qualifying our second men's team ever to the NCAA Division II championships and our first women's team. We've got a really good core group of those teams coming back. We've got a great senior leadership and some of the athletes that you'll hear from here in a minute, and just kind of taking the RMAC, by storm, one of the best distance running conferences out there. And it's pretty early right now. I know preseason rankings are out and those things, but we don't, devour too much of those. We just kind of take it as it comes and kind of getting the schedule mapped out and taking it day by day. So
we'll just talk about some of the runners you have back. And
definitely on the men's side, we've got Jake Iverson, which you'll be hearing from earlier. He's back for a 5th year. All he has left is cross, so it's kind of exciting. All in, one last chance to represent the Yellow Jackets. We have Jordan Thiessen coming back on the men's side. They are kind of going to be our 2 senior leaders. Keith Osowski is coming back. He'll be a junior this year, so a little bit of upperclassman. Matt Parker, local kid from Spearfish here. And then we've got a few incoming freshmen that we're hoping will make a big impact. Colin Bueller from Sidney, Nebraska, and then Marcos Valerio from Green River, Wyoming. They're kind of looking to make a big impact, step up. And a few holes that we had. We did have some big hitters graduate both on the men and women's teams last year, but that's the goal, to graduate kids. So,
what do you see as the team's biggest strengths and biggest areas of concern coming into the season?
I think our biggest strengths right now would be just our senior leadership, and kind of the biggest concerns is we're lacking a little bit of depth, I'll be honest with you. We have smaller teams this year, but we might not have quantity, but we have a lot of quality.
Any other questions?
Yeah. When it comes from last season to this season, and it's kind of a 2-part question. What would you like to see the team take from last year to start setting a foundation for this year? And what are maybe one or two of the biggest improvements you would like to see the team make?
Definitely, I think the biggest thing that we can take from last year is just the confidence, and now, especially with the women's team already, qualifying for nationals, being the first, Division II team, knowing that it can be done, and then now the men's team doing it for a second time. Now, hopefully, that's every team's goal everywhere, is to get to the big dance, to get to the big show. But now, hoping that maybe that's not our end-all goal, is to get there. Now it's more that is a standard, and now our goal is how well can we perform there. And I think that's the biggest thing we can take from last year, is just confidence. Having a women's team, like a core group of women that have already been to the big show, they know the expectations, they kind of know the routine, they know the length of the season. Coming back, that will be a huge strength for us.
And then maybe one or two of the biggest improvements you would like to see.
I would, every year we'd like to see improvements in everything. That's the goal, just trying to get better. But, this group, I had the privilege of working with them for 3 years, and then I kind of took a sabbatical, is what I'm calling it, last year. And then coming back this year, to help out the team. Just seeing them as we progressed in Division II in the RMAC, knowing that this is a conference that we belong in, that we can compete in. because obviously I'm biased, but I'll say out of all the RMAC sports, cross country, track and field is the most competitive. You can arguably say if you're an RMAC champ, you're definitely in the running for a national championship, which is our end all be all goal. So just seeing that progression over the last couple of years of that confidence of knowing that this is where we are and this is where we want to be and we belong here and we're going to go mix it up with the best it's been pretty exciting to see.
How much of a motivational factor do you see this being Coach Walkinshaw's last year here? Do you see that, the athlete trying to perform even better to give him a good way to go out?
Oh, absolutely, definitely, yeah. I can say, these athletes, they love Coach Walkinshaw. He's been a huge part of the program. This is 22nd season, so I'll let them, speak for themselves. But I can see it definitely as, wanting to send them out on a really good note. So. Thank you.
All right, we'll have a couple cross-country student athletes, seniors Nicole Allerdings and Jake Iverson, come up and say a few things and then open for questions.
Hi, I'm Jake Iverson. I'm a fifth-year senior studying exercise science. We're looking forward to this season. We had a taste of success last year, hoping we can kind of get a little bit of a repeat on that. So we're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm Nicole Allerdings. I'm a senior. I'm studying business and psychology. And yeah, it was a great year last year. Kind of like we said, just wanted to see what we can do this year, and we got high goals and put in the work this summer. That's like the hard part when you're out there by yourself, but it's great to come back with all your teammates and just be together and work to help each other improve.
What will be required for a successful season, and how will you and your teammates go about defining success in 2019?
Well, one of the things we're kind of battling right now is, at least for the men's team, we already have some guys that are a little bit injured and banged up. So first off, just trying to get healthy. And then the next biggest thing I would say is just doing the little things. That's something Coach always preaches about. Everybody trains hard, but if you're not, eating right, getting enough sleep, just taking care of business outside of practice, and hopefully, if we do that, we can have some success.
Talk about the women's program, been able to do what they did last year now. How do you follow up on that? Obviously, is to get back, but talk about that.
Yeah, it was great. We did have 4 seniors last year that helped us make it to nationals that we won't have this year, but I think just for those who didn't make it last year, just seeing us go and thinking like, oh, maybe next year, that they'll really step in to fill in the place of the seniors. But yeah, I think we have a really good dynamic. There's only 8 of us this year, but we are like really tight knit. All of us are like familiar with each other, so yeah, I think it'll be good just to spur each other on and see if we can make it. So.
As athletes, and kind of like the question I asked earlier with Coach Walkinshaw retiring after this year, you guys talk to amongst each other about what you can do to try to send him out on a good note.
Well, Walkinshaw has always had, a lot of success, and so just being able to be successful again, get back to nationals again this year, that's just what is expected. So we all know what we need to do just to get there, and he knows that, things happen and people get injured, but we're just going to give it our all, and hopefully we can make the best of it and send him out on a good note. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, next up we'll have the women's soccer team. First, Coach Greco come up and say a few words.
All right, so we're back for another year. Super excited. Got a very good group of freshmen and a transfer coming in this year. They've meshed real well. I would say the biggest change overall, though, is we have culture. So probably for the first time in the program, we have a large set of our returners who are eager to take a leadership role, and it just creates a different environment for all the newcomers. So in my first 2 seasons, we kind of had to ramp up a little bit. I kind of had to be a heavier voice, maybe hold them more accountable. But it's been noticeable in the first 3 days that they're already doing things that I would have had to clamor and demand. They're already taking leadership in ways that shows promise. So, roster size, we're down this year. We had, unfortunately, a couple recruits drop out. So our biggest kind of concern is going to be, can we stay healthy? It's a long season. We're going to use a lot of our preseason games, pre-RMAC games, as like a lot of learning, getting in shape. Everyone's basically going to play, so some of these freshmen who thought they weren't going to play, they're going to see the field. We got to get them calmed down, contributing, figure out a system that works for us. We do play RMAC, so we have like 4 or 5 teams in RMAC that are already looking at national championships. They're already looking at staging their preseason so they can get the regional vote to get in national championships. And then we have a set that's kind of competing to get into the RMAC tournament. And we are of that set. I believe that we're looking at, hey, we feel like we should compete and get into the RMAC tournament. We also look at some of these top teams and we walk away, they are beatable. So if we recall last year, UCCS, who is a nationally ranked, we were up 3-2 on them in the first half. They ended up tying at 3-3, and then the second half it got away from us. Pueblo, who had thumped us the year before, we were tied 2-2 at half. Second half got away. So we're looking to kind of have a more consistent performance this year. Most importantly, though, this is a fantastic group of young women. For the first time, I've actually been able to step away and trust the process. They've been stepping up, so I've just been, for our coaching staff, it's just been more enjoyable.
Recruiting-wise, what's been one of your biggest challenges in recruiting-wise?
Just one?
Well, I'm getting
Look, the benefits is that the Board of Regents said that Colorado is now considered in-state, and we do play a ton of games in Colorado. So we look to go into Colorado a lot. We look to go to Vegas and Arizona because they have a direct flight into Rapid. And then, of course, California is the mecca of youth sports in the West Coast. Some challenges is it's a little isolated, and just our population and our youth feeder systems aren't where they need to be compared to what Metro, Regis, Mines, everyone else is getting. So that's a little bit of a challenge. And then we had kids, and then just kind of some unfortunate life circumstances, a family change in family dynamics. She couldn't come, and then she's actually gotten in a car accident, and she's still in the hospital. So her life is on a different course right now. So that's been a challenge. But our 2020 class, we already have 3 or 4 verbals, and we have 3 or 4 more coming. So I really feel like we're turning a corner. We're getting a lot of momentum. There's more kids reaching out to me that know about Black Hills State from the Colorado, Arizona areas. So it's all positive. It's all positive stuff.
You talk about turning the corner, obviously getting a few more wins.
Yeah.
Really makes a difference in that sense. Is that obviously something that this team can step up to?
Well, I believe so, but I mean, some of the difficulty when you work with these young ladies day in and day out is, and maybe I shouldn't say this, but wins become less relevant. Like you see them grow, you see them change, you see different aspects of their character, of their integrity, of their personality come out, and those to me I could boast about. It's kind of hard in this setting to boast about them because it's really more about our work together. Do I believe we should be winning? Yeah, I believe we should have been winning last year. But I think it's going to take time. I think our mentality towards competition really grew last year, and I think our expectations have changed. How we work this summer is evidence of that. We're a lot more fit. We're a lot more focused. Leaders have emerged. So I would say, not to prognosticate, I would say there's going to be a couple more wins on the board, and we're going to really start to see those results, but it might be another year or two. Thank you.
All right, we'll have a couple student athletes, Rose Miller and Katie Nielsen.
Hello, I'm Rose Miller. I'm a super senior, 5th-year senior this year, and I'm studying business management with a minor in health.
Hi, I'm Katie Nielsen. I'm a senior this year, and I'm studying chemistry and biology.
So I'm actually super excited about this year. It's my last year, so I really want to end on like a really, really good note. I do want to get a couple wins in there just to lift up the spirits of the team. We do have like a really good group of juniors that are really stepping it up. So it's not only, we have 5 seniors this year who we're stepping up as well, but we've got juniors that are stepping it up, which is awesome, and even some of the younger ones as well, which is great because we really need that, and that's what we've really been needing these last 3 years. We haven't had anyone to step up and push people to work harder. So this is honestly the first year that people have actually been holding each other accountable, which is really cool. And I like seeing that. So hopefully I can end this year on a good note and get some wins in to make it a little bit more positive for the girls, younger girls. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think an important thing with the team is that it's consistent this year with the attitude. We haven't had the consistency with the attitude, so it's been kind of hard to develop a culture, but now that everybody's on the same page this year, like Mike said, we have a culture emerging, and it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah. Any questions?
Well, what's it been like coming through the program, a new program like this, where you just really have to start from scratch?
Well, it was hard, honestly. I mean, we don't, like I said this last year too, we don't have like a set standard or anything. So when we first came in, it wasn't just like a bunch of girls that knew what they were doing. We actually had a first tryout. So it was a bunch of girls that were already on campus or in the area, and we tried out and made a team. But I mean, you don't have the talent from like a lot of the other states and stuff. They're just from South Dakota and stuff. So I mean, the different talents that we needed, it just wasn't there. So we tried to build something, but me and Katie are the only ones left from the first year. So that's been a little bit difficult, but that's what's so good about this year is we've had 11 returners. So that's what has really been awesome for us this year, and is really I think, gonna make it better for us for this year.
yeah, I definitely think coming in as a freshman with really no one to kind of look up to is really hard. We had to kind of figure out the whole college and athletics thing all in one, and it was really hard. And then without having very many returners throughout the years, it's been basically like rebuilding every year, and this is the first year that I feel like we haven't been rebuilding. We've just been building on top of what we had last year, which is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Then besides the victories that you talked about, what will be required for a successful season, and how will you and your teammates define success this fall?
I think we already have a pretty good base, like I said, with the leaders and stuff stepping up. The number one thing I think that we still need to focus on is our fitness. I've been to other colleges, and like when you see the way that they work and stuff, it's just they're just so driven, and they all like, I'm not saying we don't want it, but our fitness isn't there yet, and so it's hard to push ourselves to that much because we're not ready for it yet. But we are a lot farther ahead than we were last year, which is great.
I think one thing that ties into fitness too is our second half consistency.
Mm-hmm.
We've been noticing that in film, and obviously it shows in the game. We do really well in the first half. We come out and we're usually tied, one down or one above everybody, but the second half isn't consistent with the first half, and that's a little bit because of fitness. It was a little bit because of the attitude that we had in the previous years, and I really think that we're going to fix that this year, and I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to change 100%. Like, it's just going to click like that, but
Yeah.
I definitely think that we are
We'll
getting
see an
somewhere.
improvement, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, volleyball, head coach Kristen Carmichael.
Hi, we are on day 4, and day 1 was all about team bonding for us, which we felt it's important every year, but we thought it was really important this year because we have 6 new girls and 10 returners, so almost even in essence of those that have been here and those that are new to the program, and so to just get that meshing is important for us. And not to steal thunder, maybe they're going to talk about what team bonding was, so I won't go into that. But it was really good time. And so then we're like day 3 of practices, having 2-a-days, getting into the conditioning aspects and all that stuff. So I've been really impressed. I think the biggest thing I've noticed difference from last year to this year is competition in every single position. I don't think anybody's going to have time to get comfortable this year in their role. I think they have to work hard every day to either stay on the floor or get on the floor. So that's always nice. You know, it's hard to sometimes challenge yourself if someone's not pushing on you, but I see a ton of competition in every spot. What we've mainly been focusing on is just some little defensive tweaks and offensive consistency. We have 2 senior setters and 2 freshman setters, so you know, obviously the seniors have a ton of experience and are used to their hitters, and then trying to get those freshmen to time up with them as well. And then any new hitters blending in and getting that fast tempo offense going. And then tweaks on defense. I mean, we play in a 30 by 30 square, so moving 2 feet for us is like a huge adjustment. So they're very small in the big scheme of things, but I think they're going to work to the advantage of our personnel and help us transition, kill the ball a little faster, not getting those long rallies. Perennial powers are going to be the same in the RMAC. They always are, kind of similar to what soccer was talking about. They just have these great feeder programs in like the metro Denver area, and it's just kept them successful. But I do think that like 4 to 12 ranking in the RMAC is anybody's night, which is so weird. 2 points here or there literally makes the difference between you being in 4th place and you being in 12th place. Based on who you lost to and what they did and all of that. So it's always competitive, always a battle. We get to be road warriors to start the season. We go 3 weekends in a row, several hours away. But it'll be more team bonding and unity time, and going to see some good competition in Missouri and Texas, and then we start off conference play in Utah. And then finally we'll be back home. But I'm really excited about the season. I think it's all kind of coming together here. I really think the girls were excited about the little changes we made. The returners did some amazing things this spring. Like, we changed a lot of things, and they were very open to it and got going with it. And I think their excitement about those changes, and then also them knowing what they're doing, is helping the new ones understand what they should be doing. So it's been a good role modeling learning curve already in these 3 days of practices. Any questions for me?
Last year, we had a conversation, you talked about the consistency on the offense.
Always, yeah.
What is coaching, you and your coaching staff, what are you stressing in practices to get the kids to be more consistent?
Yeah, that's literally the focus every day, is consistent. But sometimes I think with females specifically, it's such a fine line between being consistent and smart, but still taking risks. Because if we're just getting it over and in, good teams are going to kill us. We have to put the ball away, they have to score. And to score, you have to take risks, and those risks can't lead to errors. So we do a ton of putting the hitter at a disadvantage so that it's more pressure filled in practice than it would be in a game, whether that's they always have 3 blockers in their face versus the normal 2, or whatever situations we can create. But it's okay to take risks. You just got to know, like, risk to reward, what's going to work out for you.
What do you see as this team's biggest strengths and biggest areas of concern as you get ready for the start of the season?
3 days in, I've been really impressed with our ball control. Serve, receive, defense, I think we're getting more up, and I think it's up to a position that we can actually get hands on it, so it's a little bit faster, quicker offense, which should help us be more efficient because the block can't get set up. Volleyball's weird. We tried to set practices like offense one session, defense, but like it's so intermingled. You can't play one without the other, so it's been interesting. So that's definitely been a strength I've seen. Weakness, I think we need to get a little bit more crisp on block just to set up that ball control to be more successful, and then still offensive efficiency. It's just has to happen. We need a couple hitters that can do it every time and know they can do it every time.
You talked about, well, the returners, but you only have 2 starters back, right? Is that right?
That could be right.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's returners that are going to have to see a lot more playing time.
A lot more playing time, yep. But in our game, in our gym, everybody's playing all the time just to create a 6-on-6 scenario. So I do think they've been in the system. They understand the pace we want. I do think that they're going to step in real seamlessly to those roles. And I do think some of the new ones are going to be getting some of those roles as well. Just very talented and skill driven.
What can the team take from last season to start setting a foundation for this season, and what are maybe 1 or 2 of the biggest improvements you would like to see from them until now?
I think that every year at the end of the year, we kind of look back on the season and like the matches that got away from us. I mean, we look at Adams State and Fort Lewis Road games last year where one set we just killed them. It was like 25 to single digits, but then lost the match in 4. That is super inconsistent play. Like we can't just kill them and then not win the match. And those 2 matches alone would have put us into the top 8. So it's that close, and they have to know that if we stay consistent throughout a whole match, get the win, good things happen to you in the future. And so I think it's never about convincing this group they belong. It's like that you belong every night. You know, like I think they feel it. It's just they have to feel it every time. Yeah.
RMAC's always a tough place to go on the road.
Yeah.
What are you trying to teach your players to get them prepared? Some of them saw it last year when they played, but some of the newer ones.
Yeah.
What are you trying to get them prepared to go on the road in the RMAC?
Our biggest thing on the road is just consistency in what we can control. So schedule, when we eat, when we wake up, when we do our walkthrough to try to make it level. But I think that walkthrough practice for us is really important because it lets us see the gym, get in there and feel the air, you know, just what's it going to look like, which will really help all the new ones know what to expect in that environment. Nothing's harder than serving a ball or receiving a ball in a place that has like really deep walls. It just changes how you look at the game. I think teams struggle to come into ours because it's a really big facility compared to other places we play. So letting them get in that gym and feel confident there. And then I think the 2 preseason tournaments help us with that. You know, you play 8 games right away on the road, not in your own place, and get used to that kind of road. The actual road. We're going to be on it a lot. Yeah. Anything else? All right, thank you.
All right, so we have 3 seniors, Jesse Hibble, Laura Leach, and Tess Thomas.
Alrighty, hi guys, my name is Laurel and I'm a senior this year. A little bit about our team. So what Coach said before, we have almost just as many returners as we do transfers and freshmen. So this week we have been focusing a lot on our team bonding. We did a fun little tubing excursion, and then we've been just doing small things like going out for ice cream, or we did a scavenger hunt the other day. So that stuff definitely builds our team chemistry off the court, but on the court so much more than anything else. So let's see. So I just think in general we just have a lot of potential and a lot of new talent to push each other. Our motto this year is as one, and so Jesse's going to kind of talk about what that means to us.
Yeah, so I'm Jessie, and our theme is as one, and for us it's like focusing on the mindset of anticipating success as one unit. So we're really trying to become one on and off the court. And so this preseason, like she said, we're doing team bonding, and then in practices we're really trying to break down all of the skills and try to learn each other's strengths and weaknesses and try to play on that.
Hi, I'm Tess. So going off of some of those strengths and weaknesses, I'm going to talk about some of our goals. So this week we've been working a lot on the little things and being disciplined, because little things make big things happen. So we've been working on the relationships between the front row and the back row players. In the front row, we're working on getting that faster tempoed offense, as Coach was talking about. But in order to do that, our defense has been working on getting every ball up and making a nice, high, consistent ball so setters can use hands, and we can work on that faster tempoed offense. We're working a lot as one unit, and we're really excited to get on the road for those wonderful bus trips Coach was talking about. On September 6th, we get to put all our hard work together in Missouri, the next week in Texas, then Dixie, and finally, on September 27th, we'll be home against CSU Pueblo. And we're really excited to show all of our hard work and how we've been working together as one unit.
Then what will be required for a successful season, and how will you and your teammates define success?
I think being disciplined is a huge thing that we're working on this year, and communicating and working on that in practice will hopefully bring it to the games.
What is one of the bigger things you guys have seen this year as compared to going into last season?
Yes, we have a lot of new people coming in, but we're meshing really, really well. And we don't have to take a lot of time to work on little things. And these newcomers are jumping right in, and everyone's really open to trying new things. So I think we can pick right up, go for it, transition, learn, and then transfer it to the court.
The first couple of weeks, or the first 3 weeks, you're on the road, but the non-conference play, what can you do to kind of build towards the RMAC then? Will being on the road help do that?
Yeah, I think we're just like learning each other, learning our tempo, and just connecting with players and seeing who meshes well and what we need to work on those first 3 weeks. I think just in practice, that even this week we're already building a lot. So it's definitely just going to show us what we have and what potential and just what we need to work on in general.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, and last up, football. First up will be head coach John Reiners.
Well, welcome everybody. Definitely looking forward to this 2019 season. As we started going here, it seems like we've been in camp for a couple of weeks, but it's only been about 10 days. But I do know it's been a very physical and demanding and challenging camp for these guys. As coaches, we kind of talking to some of the leaders during the summer, things that we wanted to do during training camp, during fall camp, to really set the tone for what we needed to do during the season, prepare us for the season. There were a lot of ideas brought forth by leaders of this team, and some things that we did to kind of change the schedule and really, like I said, challenge these guys. They have really responded to that challenge. That's kind of been our motto all off season, was the response. And this has been a very physical training camp for these guys. We have really pushed them. We told them we're going to push them, especially these first 2 weeks, and then we'll start getting their legs back under them for our first game. But we want to make sure they understand, we need to be challenged. We need to be challenged harder than we've ever been challenged if we want to start seeing the success that we feel like we can garner with that. I do know our guys are very hungry. Obviously, the last 2 seasons have not been what we would say has been successful. There's been things that we can do better as coaches, things that we can do better as players. There are things that we don't have control over, whether it's injuries, but that's football, that's athletics, and we got to be able to handle that. So what we can do is prepare ourselves better to take care of ourselves, our bodies better. And I do believe that's something we've done during the off season, during the summer, during training camp. We've emphasized stretching and mobility and hydration, and something you always do, but has been really brought to the forefront with these guys, and added extra time in our practices and our morning routine, and had speakers come in and talk about nutrition and things that I know these guys have taken to heart. I monitor their weight gain, weight loss through the entire camp so far. We've either maintained or gained weight in a lot of areas, or lost weight with some guys that maybe need to lose a little bit. So we're really doing well with what food we're intaking in the union and the other meals that we're getting, along with making sure we're taking care of our bodies, which is a huge part of having a successful training camp. We got a great group of 13 seniors, 2 of whom you're going to hear from here in a little bit. These guys are, as I said, very motivated. Group that wants to be challenged, has asked to be challenged at different times during the off season, and have met that challenge, and really have risen up during the summer to hold guys accountable, get people here during the summer, and then when they are here, don't just be here with a purpose and be here to do something. I'm gonna steal it, and it's Jarrell Ganaway's quote: "Good ain't good enough. We got to be great." And I guarantee he's going to say that in his talk, because he means it, and he speaks it, but he also follows it up. And good isn't good enough for us anymore, and we got to make sure that we are great in everything we do, whether it's hydration, whether it's making sure that we're wearing the right shorts to practice, because we're having attention to detail in everything we do. Because if you lose focus in any little category, then it makes everything minute, and then nothing really matters. And so we're trying to make sure these guys come up with a great culture with some pillars this offseason too that is theirs. And one of those things was attention to detail, and these guys have really held themselves to that standard. But these guys have been leaders throughout the summer. We obviously have a great supporting cast in that to help build with depth. 19 juniors, 17 sophomores, 19 redshirt freshmen that will continue to add depth through there, as you look at it. Looking specifically at different groups defense-wise, we have 5 returning starters. But with that, we do have some guys that have playing experience. If you look at our defense, you're going to have starters, but you're going to have a lot of guys that are rotational, and that's fine. So we have some guys that have starting experience, but we also have guys that have had playing experience in there. And that'll play a key role as we're moving forward. In the secondary, one of our mainstays there is going to be senior Josh Gurnaby. Josh is a very physical player, a very emotional player, but a guy who used to wear his motions on his sleeve, sometimes a little bit too much. Josh and I have had our talks at times, might be on the field, might be in the office, but I never wanted him to tone down how he played or whatever. But I tell you what, he's taking that to a new level where he is a passionate young man who now is a passionate young leader, and I love that. And he's really transitioned into that role and doing a great job. Guys like Brady Morse, Rosenstraw, Garcia, Tivis. We've got a newcomer in Trevor Greenlee, who is going to add some depth there, a guy that we might not redshirt, is really bucking for some time there. But those guys that I talked about, Bailey and Brady and Isaiah, Sam Garcia coming back to us, those are guys that are going to really give us depth in that kind of that safety position that we're looking at. We have 3 safety positions that we run. Then at corner, we got a lot of guys vying for some time, some experience in there, guys that have played a lot. Lathan Stevens, we got Keyshawn Farmer, Darius Frimpong, Bonham, who's a freshman kid who hasn't played yet but has really shown a lot of promise to us as a young guy. And then another newcomer in Shakir McPherson, who could be a freshman that maybe we don't redshirt. These are some guys that we've kind of given some 2 and 1 reps to that we're trying to see what they can do. So it's kind of been a battle at some of those positions and really getting some of those other guys some playing time during this first 10 days to kind of see who's going to kind of rise to the top. Linebackers, Hunter Stevens returns as our lone starter right now. But really, as a guy that we saw a lot of glimpses last year, ended up being a starter as a redshirt freshman. Has a motor, has a gear that really you notice it when he's on the field. There's no doubt about it. So we're looking for him to be a real leader out of that program, out of that group. We're going to miss the likes of Brett Lamb. Those of you who followed our program know. Right now he's down in Texas battling leukemia. He is a big part of our camp. He has been FaceTimed into meetings. He's constantly in the linebacker meetings talking to guys. And a guy who is not here physically, but is a big part of our season and a big part of who we are. And we're going to miss him, though. I mean, there's no doubt. You do not replace Brett Lamb. You don't replace him with one guy. We're going to replace him with maybe about 3 guys. But his presence is still known, and that's what's cool. Is number one, these guys are playing for a higher purpose. I mean, everybody on this team, not just linebackers, are dedicating this season to him and what he's battling as a person. But it's great. He is so involved. I mean, he's calling and watching film and doing things because he's a guy that's been in the trenches. He's a 2-year starter that sees things that these guys aren't seeing, and so he can translate that to them from watching huddle film. And technology is great, because he's watching the film before these guys, they're over eating lunch. And he's already watching the film and ready to talk to them and say, hey, on this play, on this, team rep. And I think that's great. It's keeping him involved, really keeping him emotionally up. And that's what we want to do for him. So he will be missed, no doubt, but not forgotten as we move forward. Guys like Clayton Cook, Jake Phelan, transfer Kyle Kettlehut, really working into there, doing a really good job, has had a good camp. Corby Campbell, a young freshman, redshirt freshman who is starting to show some things. Got a lot of athleticism that we just got to kind of keep harnessing in and finding where he fits in. Cody Hooker and Nick Clancy, guys that are going to continue to keep working and pushing. There's a lot of guys vying for some playing time in there. As I said, we got Hunter's really the only true guy that came back as a starter. The rest of them, trying to see, hey, who's going to be the mainstays, and then we'll rotate some guys in. And we know in this conference, it's an up-tempo conference. We can't rely on 3 guys for 95 plays. It just doesn't work. So that group will be coming in there. Also, a newcomer on that end would be Vic Vega, a freshman out of Florida, who really has come in and done some nice things, can play all 3 linebacker positions. His mind is amazing. I mean, the kid's got the highest scholarship here at BH. He's got like the equivalent of a 35 ACT. It was like a 1400 SAT. He sits in meetings and just listens, and the playbook is instantaneously memographed in his brain. He's going to be a great asset to us down the line, and we're excited to see what he can do. D-line is probably our deepest position when you look at just sheer depth and guys that have some experience and guys that we're really counting on. And we all know in this league, in football, NFL, college, high school, you have to be good up front on both sides of the ball. I really felt like out of the spring, our D-line was the strength of our defense at that point, and that hasn't always been the case in different years. A lot of depth. Obviously, a guy who we expect big things, and he expects big things out of himself, was Gerald Ganaway, who you're going to hear from. Has had a great offseason, put on weight. I mean, come in the best shape that he's ever been, but stronger than he's ever been. And I'm really excited to see how and just watching him develop those young guys and bringing the guys along has been great to watch. But he's going to be a leader. He is the leader of that defense. He's a leader of that group, and he's also a leader of our team. And excited to see things that he does this year. And I've really challenged him. I've totally challenged him, of the role that I want him and the things that I want him, and he's met that challenge. And I'm excited to see him continue to grow as a player, but also as a leader and a guy in this program. Then you got guys like Kadeem Phillip, transfer in, really is stepping up his role. Has a lot of length, which is great on D-line. It does a lot of great things for us. He's a transfer from Northern Colorado. Devin Vance was a true freshman last year that was a long snapper that also played. He's bigger, faster, stronger. He's going to add some depth in there. Cole Miller, a very seasoned veteran. Cole came in great shape, really has a great motor, speed, and some things that I'm really excited to see him, add on a third down package and some other things that he can do for us. Leon Van Dyke, D'Artagnan Vokoda will also add depth in there. Some other veterans who we anticipate doing some great things for us. Those are kind of the guys that play on our outside, our tackles, and our end. You look inside, there's really about 5-6 guys that are vying for playing time at our nose. And, it's going to be a position where we want to be fresh. And so Morgan Tigner, Samson Rich, Brendan Blaylock, I about said Bubby because that's his nickname, but Brendan Blaylock, Nick Arnold, and Dakota Bill. I mean, there's depth there, and I like that. And Coach Parker has really been getting after these guys and making sure that, we're rotating them in, has packages and stuff. And that's going to be crucial because in this conference, these up-tempo, we got to be able to sustain it for 90 plays. And one guy is not going to be able to do that. 2 guys are not going to be able to do that. So we need to be able to rotate those guys in. But I know Coach Kerr, tweaked some things in the offseason of how we play our defense, what our mantra is on defense. And you'll see that those first couple of games. And it's exciting, the way they've really latched on to some things that they want to hold dear to them, which is pursuit and relentless and getting after people and the confusion and really some things that, we worked through the offseason, worked through spring ball, and these guys have really owned it as we came into training camp. And excited to see that group of defensive guys get after it. On offense, we return 8 starters. A lot of those guys are up front. We have 5 returning guys with returning starting experience up front in our front offensive line, which is, once again, is big. When you can have guys with experience and guys that had great off seasons and came back in shape, it's been really exciting to see that core group of 5 to 6 guys really get to work in there with everything. The returners, Joe Moraga has been a multi-year starter for us. Really looking for him to be a big leader of this program. And once again, I challenge him a lot in what role I expect him to be, not only as a guy up front, but you're not just a leader of that O-line group. You're a leader of this offense of this team. And, he's really done a great job. Sam Ambrosio. Sam is a guy who I think at this point last year was not even in camp with us. He was still in Illinois, and I got a buddy of mine that I got a hold of and said, we're kind of had some injuries and stuff with O-line. Got a hold of Sam. I think first week of school he got here, and, ended up by the third game he was a starter. And what a tremendous asset he's been to us, not just as a player, but as a person. You get to sit down 5 minutes with Sam Ambrosio, and you got a friend for life, and you're going to love that kid, along with all our guys. But Adam Birchie started some games last year, really lost some weight, really came into camp in shape, but he's stronger, and real excited to see kind of him take that next step as not a redshirt freshman, but now as a redshirt sophomore, really kind of maturing into that. Kyrie Keith was a starter last year. Keith Marson was a starter last year. Kyrie's working at center. Keith's working at center guard. Kyrie works at some guard. We got a lot of guys that are interchangeable. We got Sam's playing at guard and tackle. We got some other guys that are playing some different positions. So we can move some guys around and have some depth there. Some guys that are kind of backing up or guys that are in the running there. Middlestetter, he's a redshirt freshman. He's vying for a starting position at tackle. And then Nate DeWitt is also a senior that has given us great depth and continues to push forward. He's had some back issues he's battled, but he continues to get out there and give us a great look. Matt Caesar, Angel Gloria, Cade Gifford, and Brock Jones are guys that have to be ready to contribute if called upon, as we move forward. You look at the running back position. Obviously there's a guy that everybody knows about. You're going to hear from him here in a little bit. Peyton Gilmore. Peyton's a guy who sets the tempo with just his relentless attitude, how he works in practice, how he works in the weight room. A very intense young man, but has also learned to mature as a leader, along with, like I said, with Jarrell too. I mean, how these guys have matured and handled that role has been very fun to see that development. And Peyton's doing a great job. Understands the role that we want him to play. And in this offense, and we want to be able to run the ball, and the things that he needed to work on in the offseason, and he's really taking that to heart. Whether it's his landmark for his run game or blocking or ball security or whatever it is. I mean, it has been something that has been on the forefront of his mind all the time, and making sure that it's also passed on to those younger guys. When you look at that, and then you look at depth. Nolan Susel, Matt Collier, Justin Davis, guys that have been there in the spring and add some depth to us, and some red shirts and some other guys. But also we were able to get a transfer in Andre Renteria, who's been a very nice surprise coming into camp. Has really added a dimension that I know Peyton will tell you, it pushes him a little bit, and it's all about competition, and that's what we want. But Andre comes in and has a great center of gravity, has a great burst, has really done some things early on in camp that I know turned some defensive guys' eyes and kind of go, okay, we see this guy. But not a guy that's going to add some depth, because once again, we don't expect Peyton to carry the ball 40 times and handle that load. We want to make sure that he's as fresh in the fourth quarter of every game, and we expect him to be as fresh in the 11th game. And the only way we can do that is if we're making sure that load is shared and doing things, and we'll make sure that happens. You look at wide receiver, we have some good depth there. We have some young depth, though. That's the thing. The guys that stand out, though, Kyler Harford. Kyler is playing as good as any offensive guy right now. Had a great spring. Is as fluid as a route runner as I've seen him be. He stayed here during the summer, and he's in the best shape I've ever seen him. I mean, this kid really and Josh Gurnaby. Josh is going to tell you that he was kind of his personal trainer, took him under his wing. Josh is a weight room nut. Kind of brought Kyler and said, "You're going to become a weight room nut." And Kyler, man, he maintained his weight, but he really got a lot stronger and faster over the summer. And I'm really excited to see how as we go, he's going to be one of the guys that we expect to get the ball to a lot. Isaac Jefferson also is another guy who had a great spring, is also having a great camp. And, those are guys that have kind of played our inside receiver but could also play outside. Guys that we got to keep on the field and get the ball to. And so those are two guys that we're going to look to really lean on as we go through. Tanner Gamble and Jordan Pace are also guys that have experience that we're looking to come, along with some of the younger guys, Hassan Williams and some other guys that have some good young talent that got to add depth to us. If we're going to be able to push the tempo and run a lot of plays just like the teams that do against us, we can't roll with 3-4 receivers. We got to roll with a lot of them. And so those young guys, Tyler Keys and guys like that, are going to have to give us quality minutes. And they've done a good job. There's still some learning curve in some of them, but they're going to have to give us some quality minutes in there to do that. Tight end would be an area where we're inexperienced, but what I do like the guys we have there, Jarrett Jensen, Trig Olson, Jake Basinger, guys that have been in our program. We've had Zane Lindsay. Zane's been a mainstay the last few years, and obviously he graduated last year, so we've got to replace him. But these guys have stepped up. There's a lot of things we want to be able to do with the tight end in our run game and our pass game, and so that's going to be a critical point of their development as we go through this. Obviously, everybody has the quarterback question. It's been a battle this fall. There's no doubt. It was a battle in the spring. We added 2 guys in the fall, and Andrew Tovar and Cade Urich, 2 transfers. Andrew comes to us from University of Arizona. Cade came to us from CSU Pueblo. As we worked in, obviously all 5 were getting reps. As we get down, it's kind of getting down to probably down to a 2-man race. We are not going to name a starter yet. But everybody's still in the running. I will tell you that. But as we start getting into this next scrimmage, we got to really evaluate some things. And guys like Tyler Hammonds is right in there. Tyler has probably the most experience out of any of those guys as far as playing with that. And he's had a good camp. Some things that we need to improve on. With all of them, we've talked about it. Ball security. Although I get excited when our defense gets takeaways in practice and we get tip balls. That's one of the things we've been working on. Tip balls, takeaways, strips. I love it for the defense, but I do not like it for the offense. And so when we're putting balls in jeopardy, we call it, whether it's in the run game and we're not taking care of the ball, or we're putting a ball in jeopardy in our pass game, and we're getting tip balls because the receiver doesn't have his hands right or quarterback's not putting in the right spot, that stuff can't fly. So we're basing a lot of that on, number one, are you a guy that's going to take care of the football? Okay, I'm not asking you to manage the game. You still need to be a playmaker, but I'm asking you to manage the football, and we got to take care of that. And so we're judging a lot of it on that. a lot of it on how does the tempo and how does that team react when you're in there, with all those guys, and then they're all there. Tyler, Riley, Chance Eben, a redshirt freshman, Andrew and Kate, they've all got reps. As we kind of keep going, we're gonna find a guy here, and obviously we're getting there. Like I said, I'm not going to name anybody, but we're at the point where we will name a guy here probably by the end of the week, and that guy will be ready to roll. And but we got very capable guys. Whether we name one guy, we have some very capable young men. That guy better not get comfortable. I will tell you that right now, because there's going to be 2-3 guys chomping right at his heels, and that's what's great about it. Special teams wise, obviously at the punting position, feel very confident in Jacob Parks, all conference type kid, has a leg. We worked a lot on his consistency during the offseason, but I mean his hang time and things, we were one of the top in the league in net punting, just because we had a lot of fair catches, because even no matter how far he punted it, we were getting guys downfield, and that's our goal, is to eliminate any returns with those guys, and Jake is great at that. Still continue to do the place kicking, obviously a kickoff specialist. The number of touchbacks that he has is outstanding. Obviously, we had 2 last year that we had penalties and or safety one time, and he kicked off from the 20 and kicked it clear out of the end zone. So he's got a very strong leg, and that's a weapon to us on that kickoff when you can eliminate them returning the ball, because there's some very, very talented returners in this conference, and we don't want that. We don't want the ball in their hands. Also, a transfer, Sean Dorney, has been a great addition to us. Once again, competition. He's a guy that, more so on the place kicking, maybe some short PATs and field goals is where his specialty is. Gets the ball up, really has some great accuracy and some things that are going to challenge him and Jacob, challenging for those place kicking duties. But another guy, like I said, adds depth. We're excited about having him a part of us and doing some things for us. A lot of work to be done before our September 7th game, but these guys are improving every day. Like I said, it's been challenging. We've had a tough couple of practices here in the last few weeks, but I'll tell you what, these guys, they're not backing off. We're not backing off. We're going to hit it hard this rest of this week. We got a scrimmage tomorrow night, and then we'll hit 2 more practices, and then we'll get into school and get into a routine and get ourselves ready to prepare ourselves for that first game on September 7th. So open it up for any questions from you guys.
What gives you the biggest cause for concern as you get ready for the campaign?
I think injuries. You got to stay healthy. I mean, I look at all of our depth across the board, and I look at our 1s and 2s, and we're very solid. I mean, we're as athletic, we're as fast, we're as good as we've ever been, but we got to stay healthy. And, I mean, it's the name of the game. And in this conference, you see teams that are top-tier conference, and they lose 1 or 2 guys. They can make all the difference in the world. I've seen it with every team in this conference. And so we can stay healthy and then just be consistent. I mean, I'm seeing great things from both sides. But if we can be consistent and number one, taking care of the ball and getting the ball back, that's going to be a big thing for us too.
You talked about being physical now in practice. Is that something maybe that you needed to do before? Did it show in games?
I think we just put more of an emphasis on it. I mean, we always talk about being physical, and our practices have always probably been physical. But we had the most physical spring we've ever had, And I'm not, we didn't go out and the team that went down with Bear Bryant down there, and we weren't practicing like them back in the day. But it was a very physical spring, and these guys will attest to it. But that's what they wanted. I mean, we did some live sessions and did some situational stuff that really helped just get us prepared and things that they wanted within a limit, because I got to make sure, number one, we're getting as many physical live sessions that we can within the rules, but also keeping ourselves healthy. But honestly, these guys they're keeping themselves healthy because they're athletic enough. They were playing better when they were going live than they were when we're maybe thud or that tempo. But it's been something we've really stressed and just, we really pushed it. We're trying to get as many plays, really push that conditioning in practice and doing things like that I think are going to prepare us for the season.
Then what would you like to see the team take from last year to start setting a foundation for this season?
I think more than anything is just consistency. Gosh, we got to be a more consistent team. We can't be on one quarter and off one quarter. We can't be on one half, off one half. Whether it's one segment's doing well and the other segment's not, we got to remain a consistent program. It's right there in our culture. Do your job. Do your job. Don't worry about the other guy. That guy will take care of himself. We'll get it fixed. But just if we can become a consistent ball club across the board in doing where we need to be, what we need to do, we have the ability, if we stay healthy, to do some really good things. And I think that's one thing these guys have brought into their own. You know, it hasn't necessarily. There's some things that I preached at the beginning of camp that I needed to see better, and a couple times we would talk about it afterwards very poignantly. But then after that point, I wasn't having to say a word. It was the players taking care of that, and that's what we need. You know, is when they're policing and coaching and doing those things, and the coaches could just teach technique, and then they teach the tempo and the energy and the focus and stuff like that. Then that's where we need to be. But gotta have great focus. We gotta have great attention to detail, and we gotta be a more consistent ball club in all three facets if we want to have the success that we believe we can have. Other questions? Perfect. Thanks, guys.
All right, to speak from the offensive side of the ball, running back Peyton Gilmore.
Hi, how's it going? My name is Peyton Gilmore. I've been playing running back here for about going on my 4th year. I'll be a senior here, be a true senior. So we're really excited to get this year going. I've been working really hard during the summer. I've been up here every single summer. I've seen the growth throughout the summers. More people coming, getting more guys bought in. Getting better classes up here. Getting those guys to work hard and having people step up. Whether they're seniors, juniors, even freshmen. So I mean, we're looking for a good season, something better than last year, obviously. Like Coach was saying, we need to be more consistent on both sides of the ball. We can't expect, one side to win the game for us. Our offense has to come out, and we have to put points on the board, and our defense has to come out and get stops, and we just got to trust in each other. And I think, we do that, then attention to detail and all that good stuff, and everything else is going to take care of itself. So yeah, that's about it. So, I mean, just looking for a good year. Not much to say. We just still got – it's a tough conference, and one winning season doesn't really say anything. We still got a lot to prove, and, that's what we're looking to do. So, any questions?
We'll talk about the offense a little bit, and obviously a new quarterback and everything. How does that change things, and what are you looking at right now?
So, like Coach was saying, we got a lot of guys at quarterback, a lot of good depth. So, it's really good to see people – from, a lot of those transfers, get to see a lot of different, people from different perspectives, adds a lot of dimension, to the quarterback position. Like Chance, he's got a really good arm. Riley, he can move around in the pocket, and, he's even, developed a better ball. And then, like Tovar and, Ulrich and all those guys, they're good additions as well. Especially having him in the back, he's the one with game experience, and he throws a really good ball too. And, he's pretty seasoned, so I don't know. It's, we're just kind of just waiting for that September 7th to, that one person gets a starting job, and they can execute, and they can produce for us, and be the generals on the field that we need, like Ryan was, when stuff wasn't going the right way. But yeah, I mean, just looking to compete, see who wants to step up and who wants to take the reins. So. Any more questions? Thank you.
Last but not least, defensive lineman Jarrell Ganway.
How's it going, y'all? So defensively this season, definitely just looking back to trying to become a dangerous defense. Definitely looking to just be just a group of guys that offenses fear. You can't come out and be passive. You got to be aggressive, got to get after people, really got to make offenses worry about what we're doing rather than us worrying about what they're doing. We got to go out and play our game, go at people, create turnovers, really fly around. Pursuit is a big thing we've been stressing this year. We, every day Coach Parker will come in and have clips from practice that highlight good instances of pursuit and bad instances of pursuit. And, Coach Parker is an ex-Marine. He really lets you feel it if you're not doing what we need to be done. So we're just working to just go out there, fly around, be 11 guys that are just a terror, create turnovers, really just working to, we want to be top in the nation in turnovers like we once were. We're looking to get back to those times because that when we're successful, the team is successful, really get the ball back to our offense any chance that we can. It's just the more havoc we cause, the more likely we're looking at W's this season. So any questions?
Talk about the defense and the role it needs to play in this conference because, obviously there's a lot of offensive-minded teams in this conference.
Mm-hmm. Well, the RMAC is full of great offenses and great offensive coordinators that can really go out and put up points week in and week out. Good game plans usually, and we're not looking to get into shootouts with people. We can't go. They score, then we score. They score, then we score. That's just a recipe for putting a workload on our offense that I don't think they should have to worry about. We have to go out. We have to get stops. Coach Kerr really stresses our third down. We want to be 70% on third down. So every 10, we're getting 7 stops out of the 10 third downs that we go through. We're looking to create turnovers, like I said, because any chance that our offense can get the ball back is a good chance. Coach Kerr a few years back would always talk about points per possession, and the more points per possession for our offense, the more likely we are to leave out with a W on the board and as a happy defense. So.
As a senior this year, some of the younger guys, kind of look up to you for guidance, whatever. What are you trying to do with some of the younger players to get them to step up their game and perform at the highest level?
Well, biggest thing is I just want to teach them and coach them up to be better than I am. That's the biggest thing is mentorship. I had a mentor, Jared Tiefenthaler. He was our starting D end a couple of years back, and he really took me under his wing and taught me everything that I know. And my job is to now pass that information down to the younger guys so that when I'm done and my time here is up, that we just reload. We're not looking to rebuild the defensive line. We're just reloading. They come back out and they play at an even higher level than I could put out there. And that's really the goal. We got a lot of bright young spots on the D line coming in. They just real talented guys, real big guys too, especially for being 18, 19-year-olds. They got some real size on them, got some real strength on them. And now my job is to just mold them and try to teach them everything that I know. And, 2-3 years later when I come back and watch a game, just watch them wreak havoc. And that's all I can ask for. Thank you.
All right, thanks everybody for coming. Let me know if you guys have any questions or want to do any one-on-one interviews. We can get that set up. Thanks, guys.